Welcome back to the Chirosation, where chiropractors share their stories and lessons learned in practice. The intention of the Chirosation is to provide resources and a community that will help chiropractors realize their innate potential. So join the Chirosation today. In this episode, I have a conversation with Dr. Josh McRae from JMC Chiropractic. Josh shares his experience as an early associate and why he decided to start his own practice 6 months after graduation. Josh was really honest about the struggles he faced in early practice and how everything has really taken off for him now that he made the decision to start his own thing. There is so much to learn from this conversation, so without further ado, welcome to the Chirosation, and this is where the conversation starts. Welcome to episode 7 of the Chirosation. With me I have Dr. Josh McRae, who's coming to share his story, and I'm very, very excited to get started, so welcome.
Cool, thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure, man, pleasure. So we were just briefly catching up on, what you've been doing at the moment, but I'd really like to hear about your transition kind of through the final year of NZCC and then into your first year post-graduation, what you've been through and what's been your experience so far.
Yeah, well, where to begin, really? So pretty much getting through, if anyone knows me, they'll know that my journey through chiro college, was a little bit of a bumpy one.
Sure.
And so, I had to jump through a few extra hoops, but that's okay, we all get there in the end. But yeah, so the last year for me was purely, and we kind of touched on this a bit before, but purely just on getting out, really. Just needed to graduate, because chiropractic is something that I've always wanted to do. And so, yeah, just making sure you tick all those boxes, learn as much as you can and just get out, I guess.
Yeah, man. Well, by the time you get into that final year, you've been doing it for long enough. You're just so ready.
Yeah.
Just to actually do it rather than,
yeah.
Obviously all the academic stuff. You've really kind of conquered most of that by that stage. It is, like you said, ticking those boxes, making sure you're getting all the critiques done.
Yeah.
And then freedom is
those critiques.
It's good.
Yeah.
So I'm also quite curious. What got you into chiropractic in the first place?
Short story, long story.
Long story, bring it. This is a long form podcast, let's go.
Okay, sweet. So I was a little bit of a chiro baby, a little bit.
Cool.
Not 100%, but Mum kind of took us to the family chiro kind of growing up, but it wasn't anything we did. I don't remember it too much up until this kind of wow moment that I had. So all I've ever done my whole life is play sport, from age walking till even now. My whole life has been kind of based around sport. So when I was about 7, I had a knee injury of some description. It can't have been too serious because there wasn't like a diagnosis for it. But I'd gone and seen physio, been referred to another physio, been referred to a podiatrist, and then referred back to a physio. I was kind of getting just bounced around, and the good part was I was getting pulled out of school lots, but but trying to sort out this knee issue, and pretty much they came to the conclusion that it was just how I was, and that I was never really going to be able to run around pain free, and that I was just going to have to limit my kind of sporting approach. And as a 7-year-old, when all you've done your whole life and all you're interested in your life is sport, then you get pretty gutted, so it's pretty much like your rug being pulled out from under you. But then anyway, kind of was learning to just live with that. I think it had been maybe 4 or 5 months without really doing anything. I wasn't playing any sport, wasn't doing much at all. Went to the family chiro, didn't even tell them about the knee. It was kind of just something that we'd reserved, just something, you find that with your patients now, you'll start digging a little bit further into the visit, and then they think of something all of a sudden, oh yeah, and my ankle, and why didn't you tell me this in the history, So it's just about, I guess, asking the right questions. But anyway, as a patient, I didn't say anything, and I just kind of left it. And yeah, just went through, did a normal chiropractic check, so adjusted pelvis, and I guess everything else. And since then, I know chiropractic's not a one hit fix for everyone, and it's pretty rare to get that, but for me it was that. So I've never had any knee pain or any knee trouble since then. And so yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Like I didn't even tell them about this big thing in my life, you know, and they, I don't want to use the word fixed, but essentially fixed
that
it.
in your kid mind, that's what happened.
Exactly. And so yeah, I was straight back into sport, straight back into pretty much everything, and then have had no trouble since then. So for me, my whole life from that point was I'm going to be a chiropractor. So
you got the bug early.
Caught it very early.
Awesome.
Not
Awesome.
many people can say they knew what they wanted to do when they were 7 and then
No.
set out to actually do it. So, yeah, it's been cool.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Nice, good on you. So then 7, let's skip all the other stuff because I'm
Yeah.
sure there would have been lots of, fun times being a teenager.
Yeah.
Then you obviously got into chiro college, went
Yeah.
through it, had the ups and downs of chiropractic school because that's what everyone goes through and they're all kind of individual. But
Oh, yeah.
graduated, saw your graduation.
Yeah.
And what were you up to? Kind of, what was your process heading into end of the final year, figuring out what you wanted to do next?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to stay in Auckland. That was really my only definitive. Doing it again, I'd probably be a lot more open. I was very, very close-minded. And it's not even like I had a reason to stay. I mean, at the time, you know, I was, other than I grew up here, that was really it, you know, like I didn't have anyone that I was with at the time or anything like that I needed to stay here for, you know, it's just, I wanted to be in Auckland. So that was my only real kind of thing. And I kind of wanted to work with somebody that I knew as well. I didn't really want to just jump into a place and just feel super inferior, you know. So anyway, I got an associate position, and yeah, kind of worked it all out. There was a guy that I knew quite well. He was a real good dude, kind of family friends of ours. But yeah, anyway, jumped on with him and kind of worked out a contract and stuff like that.
Cool, because it sounded like an awesome opportunity when I spoke with you last time at graduation. So then how long were you there? Because now he started his own thing, by the way, guys, and he's doing great. So we're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But so how long did that relationship go for, and what was the kind of learning experiences that you got from it?
Yeah, so I was there 7 months.
Cool.
So maybe 7.5 months. I started like straight away.
Yeah.
Which again I would do differently as well. Just because when you first start out, you don't have any money. And it costs so much to start up practice. All the stuff you don't think about, like
registration.
Yeah, just register and
all the stuff.
I don't know. It just costs so much, and for the little window that you get extra, I don't think it's worth it. You don't make enough in that little window well, you might, depending. My practice didn't make enough, you know, to justify starting early. But anyway, I did. And it was cool. But yeah, so what was the question? What was the situation?
No, not necessarily what was the situation, but what were the learning experiences that you gained from that?
Yeah.
So doing it again, you'd potentially think about either not staying in Auckland, so broadening your options, and then also potentially thinking about not starting straight away right off the bat. Taking a bit of time off, maybe holidaying, earning a bit of extra cash here and there, and starting when the chiro year starts, which is in April sometime, around about it, wherever it is. So maybe that was what you did next time.
Yeah, I think.
But you did start.
I did start.
So what else did you learn?
I learnt very quickly that confidence is everything, and I guess at the college they do teach you that as well, which is good, because you know obviously if you're not confident then you're not really doing well. And it's the same in real life. So yeah, it was just about trusting yourself, getting a few patients in and seeing them improve and seeing them kind of do well, and you know you do well, they do well, you know it's just kind of like you get this cool connection with your patients that it's really quite hard to explain, but it's like you have a very, very personal, quite close relationship with each one, but it's all 100% different to the next patient you have, you know. So that's one thing that I really love about it. We do similar things with each visit, but it's like polar opposites between 1 and 2 patients, so yeah, I don't know, I think confidence was the biggest thing that I had to learn pretty early on.
Well, you must have got a lot of confidence pretty quick, because 7 months out starting your own thing, that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
You must have been ready to back yourself.
I'll kind of go into the backstory of that. So
yeah, please do.
I've been up and running from home, JMC Chiropractic, for maybe 4 months now, maybe 5. But I started it pretty early on just because I was under a retainer for the first 12 weeks, which is pretty standard for a chiro deal. I don't know what yours was, but I was on 50% of a visit, and then I was on a little bit of a retainer as well for the first 12 weeks, which was awesome because there's no way I would have been able to afford to live without that. And yeah, I guess the drive to and from there. But anyway, I was working there, and another thing that I definitely learned from that is also I did become quite reliant on that retainer as well. It gave me a comfortable buffer. I don't know, going from college where you're not really earning anything and you've got no income, then all of a sudden, even if it's a little bit, you're like, oh, this is nice, I actually have some money coming in.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually getting paid for this thing called chiropractic. How cool is that?
Yeah, exactly, which is awesome. But at the same time, I didn't push myself enough in that first 12 weeks, because I was I always knew that I'm going to have this bottom line coming through at the end of the week. So I definitely, I don't know if I probably wouldn't call it laziness, but I was definitely complacent. So I didn't push as hard as I could have, or as hard as I am now. So yeah, I know it's interesting. We definitely learn a lot more from failures than we do. But yeah, the reason I started up is because once that retainer finished, I was earning 50% of each visit, and I really wasn't seeing a lot of visits at all. I just wasn't, by any chiropractic terms or business model of any kind, I wasn't doing well, so I was really struggling.
Just as reflection, because I don't talk numbers with many people, but I think it's really common.
Yes.
Really common.
Oh yeah,
I think in that first 3 months, expect to be sitting around 10 to 20 visits a week.
Yeah,
is probably the average. If I'm kind of taking a general population, that's kind of what you're looking at.
Yeah,
and then if you take 50% of that, can you live on it?
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, but it's hard.
Yeah, it really depends.
And everyone's different, and some weeks are busier than others, and you have averages and whatever. But it's not an easy thing to start out and do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, it's not. It's definitely not easy at all. But it is cool, and it is really, really rewarding, because whatever you bring in terms of patient base, and you start to see these awesome changes, that's changes that they wouldn't have experienced it if you hadn't gone out and seeked those people, So yeah, anyway, I was kind of just struggling along, doing my own thing, and I was I can't really, like you said, I couldn't really live on what I was making. I was I need to do something else. I was maybe if I just start, I had a talk with the chiropractor I was working with as well, and I was I think I might need to start seeing people from home, just even if I see 1 or 2 a week, that's going to at least cover my gas, for the week. So it was really I just wasn't doing well, so I needed an extra income. So it was, I didn't want to start on my own, but I kind of had to. Yeah. So even I knew, because I'd be starting on the shore, that's where I grew up, I'd be able to see a few people. I think Jerome mentioned it a few podcasts ago, that he kind of started in his local area. I think that's huge. I think
hometown advantage, man, makes a really big difference.
Exactly.
Even Scott over in Canada is the same.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to probably do it if I was somewhere else. I think half of the reason I really, really struggled to build at the practice where I was an associate at is just I wasn't in the community. I wasn't in the community at all. I'd drive over there for my shifts. I would do, a couple of screenings and free health checks at the gym, and that was about it. That was all I was really there. So yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't get busy enough, so I started on the shore to try subsidize my income almost, so I can just have a little bit more breathing room.
Sure.
But then what I found is that just started taking off, to be honest. Not exponentially. You know, I'm not seeing massive amount of people now even, but I caught up very quickly to the other practice that I was working at.
Yeah.
In a very short amount of time compared to the long amount of time that I'd been there. Now 7 months isn't long stretch by any means.
Sure, but it's enough. And I just want to jump on something as well, talking about it. So while you were there, because I know starting out, I mean, you have to get the money right, that you have to be richly rewarded for the type of work that you're doing, because it's just how it works. But at the same time, how were you feeling in terms of the patient interactions that you were having?
I think as far as like the type of care I was giving and the interactions with patients, I don't think that ever changed.
Cool.
For me,
because that was kind of asking, because we've been talking about the money a little bit, but which you have to get right. But for me, the primary driver, it seems like, having interacted with you before, is it's patient-centered. Yes. I'm really looking after the individual.
100%, yeah. So nobody gets into chiropractic care, well, I would hope not, because they want to make money. You know, we get into this because we're interested in health, we want to see people's lives improved, or we've had our own life improved by it. So therefore we can do that for others. So that's obviously the primary reason why we get into it. So yeah, 100% my care for the patients was never compromised. I was always 100% present in the room. And it was actually...
But you also have to pay for gas to get there, you know?
Yeah.
So when it gets to that balance, it's like, well, there has to be some kind of sacrifice made to actually be able to provide care.
Yes. Yeah, I think for me it was just I couldn't really afford to live, really, to be honest. Yeah. Which is a sad realization to come to, because you almost get this. My sister's also a chiropractor, my older sister.
Oh, cool.
So I kind of knew what the first year should look like, kind of thing, from what she did. Yeah. So I had some expectation, but when that expectation is your own life and then it's not quite meeting it, then, you know, and when you're not seeing as many people as you'd like to see, you're also not helping as many people as you'd like to see, so you don't feel as effective, regardless of money or anything like that, you know.
I actually think that's a bigger part of it. Yeah. It certainly was for me, just not feeling fulfilled. Yeah. Being like, no, I want to serve my community at a high level. Yes. And I'm really struggling with it. And you were going out there, you were doing screenings, you were actually active in the community, maybe as not as you could have in retrospect, but at the time you were doing your best. Yes. And for me, I think that's really, really hard. Yeah. Just not quite feeling just comfortable. But obviously when you started up your own practice, you were a lot more comfortable.
So then you flip
and
that
it took
completely.
Over so much faster, right?
100%. So now it's like, it doesn't seem like an effort at all. Like it's just me, you know. It's just exactly what I've always wanted to do. It's exactly what, like, obviously I got forced into it a little bit. Like, this kind of was my plan B, and now I am plan B. You know? So,
plan best. Let's go.
Plan best. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, so it's been awesome, and it's like you said, like, I am in the community now. Like, I'm in the community that I grew up in, and you've got more connections. People know who you are, so they trust you as well. And it's like, you know, it's a lot easier to make those connections, and also it's more fulfilling when you see people in your own community. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you get this like sense of belonging and sense of like self-worth, and you also, when you see those changes in them, it's almost like you reap more of a benefit, because they feel like some form of kind of extended family, kind of. It's like, you know, helping your family member out. You're stoked when they do well, you know. So it was different to being in a community you're not really a part of, and you're only there when you're at the office or when you're at a screening. You're not really in the community, so you don't feel a part of it, so it's a lot more isolating, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think community is a massive part of it, eh?
Yeah,
so,
that's huge. So then, obviously, all that kind of stuff happened. You were really your hand was kind of forced at the end of the day to really just start your own thing, because at the end of the day, you got to eat, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So what was the first thing, or the first few steps you had to do to get your own thing off the ground?
To be honest, the big thing for me was just actually starting. You know, like,
That's kind of
I kind of put it off a little bit. Because I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I felt like I was betraying the other chiro a little bit, even though it was ages away. Like, it's not in the same kind of area, even remotely. But I'm quite like a loyal guy, so for me to, have signed this contract and, be an associate at this practice, I want to see that practice succeed and do well, so I was quite apprehensive about starting my own. So the first thing for me would have been just getting past that barrier, more of a mental block rather than actually something physical that I had to do. But really all you need is, you just need a location, you need a table, and you need just a pen and paper. Pretty much, like, you can start so easy. And yeah, the hardest thing, to be honest, was probably just doing the forms. Because obviously you've got to write them up yourself, and we had very extensive forms at, NZCC. So coming from that, and then you kind of you learn a lot from where you're at, and, you kind of take what you like and leave what you don't, and maybe add a few things in. But yeah, so making up forms and stuff, and making sure it's all, at least you've got definitive consents, and making sure you're taking a legit health history where you're not going to miss anything, or so just making sure all the forms are right and you've got a good location. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
And the website and your location looks stunning, by the way. Just really nice, like clean, but obviously that's your style.
Yeah,
Which is just cool. Really nice.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked on it, because there's a little bit of preconceptions about like home practices.
Sure.
And I think I was guilty of kind of thinking that way as well. Like, oh, why would you want to do a home practice? Like, it's not as professional, or like, well, that was just what I was thinking anyway. And then once I started up my own, I've got this great little setup. Like, I'm so stoked on it, and every person that comes in, I think they're quite surprised as well. They're like, oh, whoa, this is a cool space, like it's disconnected from the rest of the house, and you don't walk through any of the main house to get to
so
it.
What's the kind of layout of it then? So someone arrives, park on the street?
They come up the drive. Probably have to be parking on the street soon, just so we don't have like people running into each other on the driveway.
Yeah.
I had that problem this morning, actually.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so yeah, just park on the street, walk up the drive, just head around, kind of got some signs, and just follow the signs, and you'll find yourself at a door, a very magical door. And then I've just got this waiting room that's, I don't know, maybe 4 meters by 4 meters kind of thing, and it's just got a couple of chairs, little table, little coffee table, little stand in the corner, and just my frames and stuff, and another photo up on the wall. And then from there, there's a wall dividing with almost like just a bedroom door with a divider, going into the adjustment room, which is similar size, maybe a little bit bigger to the waiting room, so it's fully close-offable. It's not really a word, but we'll go with it.
Love it.
But yeah, so then just got my little adjusting room in there as well. Just practicing on an Astrolite at the moment, so I can buy a drop table. Drop tables are magnificent, especially when you first start practicing.
Oh, it's so good.
Drop table is the goods.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, just got a few waiting spots, and then people waiting, and
nice.
they can chill.
That's
there.
cool. And no CA, it's all yourself.
Yeah, no.
So what kind of program? Obviously, at the beginning, forms was a big deal. You had to get all that sorted, but I'm sure you would have crushed that fine.
Yep.
But so what are you using in terms of front desk type programming software? Is it your own
Super simple. Google Maps.
Yeah.
Google Maps. Google Calendar.
Yeah.
Definitely not Google Maps.
To find your place.
To find the place. Yeah, definitely. Google Calendar. It's chill as. I'm not. It's not difficult. It's super simple. It does everything you need it to do. I mean, when you're just a one-man band, you don't really. There's no point getting a. Well, I don't know. Maybe for someone else it might be worth it, but for me, just Google Calendar.
Well, the thing is, I mean, what I'm hoping people will get away from this conversation is how easy it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
If you really have to start up your own thing, I mean, obviously you had exceptional circumstances to do that, but other people might be thinking, look, I just want to start up my own thing, and
Yeah.
maybe I have a misconception about starting from home, and I'm
Yeah.
worried about what people think about it. And then you realise, no, this is actually can be done really nicely.
Yeah.
And
sure.
look like a really professional, nice office, but still have that kind of home, kind of cozy feel to
Yeah.
it, which people really enjoy.
People are really comfortable in there. I think clinics often can be
Clinical.
well, exactly. I was just gonna say that. Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're quite. We almost turn them into these quite sterile environments, you know, and that's not really chiropractic. You know, I think a lot of chiropractic's so family orientated to me. And obviously, going as a kid, I kind of grew up with it. But I was at one of those, you know, kind of more stereotypical clinics. But yeah, I think it's quite nice to see how a patient will interact with me at my practice at home rather than how they would interact with me at my practice when I was an associate. So it's very, very different. You get treated very different, and I think a lot of it was the areas as well. Different parts of Auckland have different.
So I'm a curious question. How much laughter do you have at your current practice compared to your previous one?
Oh, to be honest, it's probably similar.
Similar?
It's probably similar. I'm always
But that's
making
you,
jokes
right?
in the room. Yeah.
Cool.
I think if you can't have fun with your patient, then they go see someone else.
Yeah, I'm so the same. You
Yeah.
gotta laugh. It's such a big part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
fun.
think people take themselves way too seriously. Eh?
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people. I
Yeah.
find that I'm just want to hang out with my patients and help them any way I can, and
Well,
yeah,
it's
I think they
community
respect that as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Definitely. And speaking of community, getting into things,
Yeah.
how good has it been getting back into sport?
Oh, mate, amazing. We kind of talked about this briefly before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just kind of touching on when you're at college, you've kind of just got to do college. That is, you've kind of got to just do. You know, you've got so many requirements to meet and so many deadlines and so many
It takes
random later nights that
Yeah.
you can't just be like, okay, I've got basketball every Monday night, you know, like that's probably not going to work, you know, so you've got all these random kind of things that pop up and you just don't have time. And so I had to drop all these, you know, sports that I loved doing, and yeah, since I've graduated, it's been so nice to, you know, get back into playing, and just feeling fit and healthy again is a big thing for me. Like, how often do we practice what we preach, you know? So we've got to be, you know, on the frontier of health professionals, but we're not doing anything about it ourselves. So I think that was a big thing for me, just being more true to what you're actually preaching to your patients, or, you know, you're being the example rather than being like, this is what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
I don't do it myself, but this is what you need to be doing. But, you know, you can be like, well, I kind of do this. A big thing for me is stress. How many people suffer with stress at the moment? Like, it's almost like a glorified thing. It's like, oh, I'm so busy. I don't have time for anything else. And it's like, it's become like a good thing. People are like celebrated for it. And it's like, I don't think that's right. Like, the body's not built to handle that kind of stress all the time. And that's a big thing I tell my patients as well. Is that, look, what do you do for stress management? Like, can you go to a gym? I don't know, go for walks?
Have any said I come and see you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yes, a few actually.
Good.
I know the older guys,
That's
they're
good.
a bit more witty, eh? But yeah, so just trying to encourage people to just seek a whole healthy lifestyle, you know. Just getting chiropractic care's not going to cut it. You know, I feel like it needs to be everything.
Yeah,
you know.
but that's what chiropractic is. Because
Yeah.
I think people refine it down. I mean, maybe you didn't mean to do it, but I think there's a really common misconception about chiropractic is that it's about the adjustment.
Mm.
And the adjustment is not it.
Yeah.
The adjustment is a part of a lifestyle. Just like if you just ate healthy, but you never exercised,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you had a crappy, shitty, you know, stressed out job, you're not going to be healthy.
Yeah.
It's looking at your whole lifestyle, and I think chiropractic's part of that. And I think the chiropractic philosophy is that.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
holism. It's how can I be the greatest person that I can be?
Yeah.
And the chiropractic adjustment is part of that, just unleashing innate, whatever way you want to describe it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well said.
Boom, crush it. Right, next question. I'm really excited to hear what is the future for JMC Chiropractic.
To
What's
be
your vision?
honest, I I don't have like a massive vision. You know, I don't have like a...
Gonna take over the North Shore.
Yeah, but it's like, it's tough to quantify exactly. Like, I think chiropractic as a profession has been so held up in the past and even currently by numbers. You know, I don't think you can measure a practice by numbers. I don't think, like, we always ask each other, like, you know, and I think it starts at college as well, because you have a certain number to meet. Then you're like, oh, what are your numbers? What are you at? How many do you need to go? How many more new patients do you need? You know, it's all quantifiable, you know, but I don't think that's effective practice. You know, I don't want to be seeing 100 patients a week and have my care compromised. You know, I would rather see 20 patients a week and be loving it and having a great time with all those people, you know, rather than being like, okay, when's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one? You know, I want to be present with each individual patient, if that makes sense. So, in terms of goals, long term, obviously, you just want to build it up. In whichever way that goes, I'm not really sure. So, I'm stoked with where it's at. Obviously, I've got a long way to go. I haven't made it, you know. But to be honest, if it keeps growing like it's growing at the moment, I'd be stoked. Yeah, awesome. That's pretty much it. Obviously, I want to eventually get a place that's potentially not practicing out of home, just, you know, so I could have some car parks and, you know, do stuff like that.
Logistically, eventually, as the practice grows.
Yeah, exactly. Once it gets too big for where it's at, then we'll go somewhere else. But yeah, in terms of like quantifiable, like measurable goals, I don't really have any, to be honest. I just want to be as good as I can be.
Definitely, which is outstanding. I think if we all have that goal, man, the world would be a better place.
Yeah, for sure. But
I'm just trying to kind of pick your brain to see what the dream is. What's the vision?
What's the dream?
Yeah.
Mate, I'm already living the dream.
Love it.
I'm practicing chiropractic care. I wanted to do this since I was 7, you know?
Cool.
So I just want to help as many people as I can, to be honest. Just kind of get out there and, like I said before, just get into the community. So I'm in kind of Greenhithe area, Greenhithe/Albany. So yeah, just getting amongst it really, just in the Greenhithe Albany area and just getting into the community and
just doing what you're doing.
Yeah, just building relationships really. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I just want to be as effective as I can, and just help as many people as I can along the way. Pretty much.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What a cool vision.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
But that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really good. Cool. It's like enough said. Not quite. I'm curious. I got to ask more questions.
Yeah, no.
But it's stunning, man. It's really, really nice. Really nice. So what do you think was the biggest... what do you think held you back the most in the first 6 months? Apart from confidence.
Oh, take away my answer. Tidy work by you. I think that drive. I think the first 3 months definitely relying on that retainer. I think that held me back a lot. I think I could have built a lot more than I did, just because I was like, yeah, I've got that, you know, little thing coming.
But then that kind of comes back to that whole, like, what's the drive? And for you, obviously, at the time, the drive was numbers.
Yes.
I'm not busy enough. I'm not serving enough people.
Yes.
Therefore, I need to get out there and do more.
Exactly.
Which is a really, really hard thing to do because at least I think practice doesn't really work like that.
No, it doesn't.
People sniff you a mile away and run screaming.
Yeah, but actually
well, at least that was definitely my experience.
Yeah.
Because I walked into a practice space of nothing.
Yeah,
so I had to start
same with me.
somewhere.
Yeah.
So what do? Well, you have to go approach people.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, if you put a plaque on the wall, no one's going to walk in the door, right?
Nobody cares about your plaque.
Exactly. You have to go
actually,
and especially when you're, a younger graduate like you and me, kind of getting out there. Yes, you don't have as much experience as the Cara who was there. At least in my case, they've been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
In the same practice, and they are part of the community.
Exactly.
And I kind of walk in.
So you're this new fish kind of thing, and
exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of leverage your advantages. So for me, I'm young and exciting and likable.
Yeah.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
So you got to
gotta
figure
use
out
it.
what's going to make the most for you, and then try and leverage that to make it a good thing. But then you kind of have this like sick feeling on the inside. At least, I mean, I did. I mean, if you want to share, that'd be nice as well. But just constant fear. I'm not good enough. My adjusting's not good enough.
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
that's a big
serve these
thing.
people enough. Even though on the surface it's, you know, you're talking, you're likeable, you do all the right things, and yes, you are getting results because drop table. But no. But, you know,
So true.
But you are getting results because you are clearing subluxations. Yes, maybe it's not as effective as I would have liked it to have been, but I was still getting results. But you just kind of have this lack of confidence, this fear in early practice, and I think that's a really hard thing to shake. And at least for me, the biggest thing that shook it was actually interacting with people again.
Yeah. Just kind of realizing that you're not the only one that's going through it.
You are not alone.
Actually, though.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Like for the first 6 months, I was just in practice, just focusing on my own shit.
Yeah.
And I never had a chance. And I had no idea that you were starting your own thing until you sent me this awesome message. And I was like, Josh, what are you up to? I didn't even know you're still in Auckland. You know?
And that's the thing, like everyone vanishes a little bit after they graduate.
It's tough. We can't do that, guys.
Yeah.
We have to stick together.
Yeah. But
teamwork makes the dream work.
But it does. Yeah, so like you said, that fear, I didn't have too much of like I had one patient which was mildly terrifying. You know, like I don't know. Well, when you had James Knock on, talking about, I know a patient that he had that, you know, was quite a heart drop moment for him.
Yeah.
So
we all have that story.
Oh yeah, exactly.
We all do.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I think you guys were talking about how it like knocked your confidence for a little bit, and I had that same experience. So this patient came in, kind of presenting like a disc. I don't think it actually was a disc. It's more just like a very, very badly inflamed facet. But anyway, like could hardly just even stand up on the table. Did some drops, very light drops, I might add, because I was already nervous, you know, so I was like, okay, we're going to do this, and like I didn't even want to side posture him because I was just nervous and I was like, okay, how can I do the minimum amount that I need but still get results? And that was quite a tough area to grasp because obviously you don't actually have a lot of experience. For me, I didn't really deal with many acute people at all at college.
You don't.
They don't
really come into the college.
And you can't get them effectively at the college. I had a few acute new patients, but by the time your case is approved and by the time that first visit comes around, they've gone and seen someone else, you know, because they need to get adjusted, like, or checked and adjusted today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't really get that exposure, so you don't get the acute patient. So yeah, with that experience was kind of new and nerve-wracking and terrifying, but we went through, we did the adjustments, and you know, you've got your spiel on how you're going to explain what you're going to do, and also limit their expectations as well, because they're coming to you expecting a band-aid a little bit. As unfortunate as it is, chiropractic in the public's eye is pain relief. And so we are essentially Panadol, you know. So
just a way more expensive version.
Yeah, exactly. But and a more effective version as well. But that's just one of the byproducts, you know.
Yeah.
So people coming to you for pain. So this person came in and they were just really, really struggling, and then after our adjustments, they could hardly get off the table. You know, like they were like, I don't think they were worse, but they definitely weren't better. You know, they were struggling, and you know, help them up.
Why do you think that they were like that?
What do you mean?
Why do you think they were struggling to get off the table? Because, like you said,
just
you did very light drops.
Yes,
you would have stimulated the nervous system.
However, those joints are still very inflamed.
Sure.
So whenever there's inflammation, that does also stimulate the pain in those receptors and stuff like that. So because of our drops and our adjustments, we still mixed it up enough where the body is still kind of in a state of protection. It's trying to protect itself, so you get that muscle splinting and you know, you get that lock up kind of system. It obviously doesn't happen with every adjustment, doesn't happen very often at all. But for this particular patient, he was still in a lot of pain. And that was quite distressing for me as well, because you're like, well, I've done everything I can do, well, what I thought, so I was like, that was quite a scary moment for me, just being like, well, what else can I do to help this person,
Because that's what you get into this for, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that made me feel quite like, I don't know, just inferior, I guess, or just like that I didn't do my job properly. What did I miss? Did I, I don't know, it just made me question myself a lot. So that was probably the biggest knock on my confidence early on. And I think that was in like the second week, third week or something.
Rough,
so which they tell you you're going to have as well. Yeah. They're like, you'll always have this one patient that's going to...
And you think, no, what happened to me?
Yeah, but obviously we all think we're the exception. We're definitely not.
Definitely not the exception.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just want to delve into that a little bit, and the physiology of pain management in terms of chiropractic. Because chiropractic's not about pain. No. But we're really, really good at dealing with it.
Yes.
And it's because you're improving proprioceptive input. So you're actually blocking out the pain receptors that are sending signals up into the brain.
Yeah.
So for me, when I'm adjusting people and their pain is exacerbated, I'm actually blocking the pain receptors with an adjustment. I know that I am, because physiologically, that's literally what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So if their pain's increasing, then it means that I must be affecting the nervous system. And pain is the body's way of saying, you're doing something wrong, change it.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with lifestyle, body position, whatever it happens to be right now, inflamed joint, don't move it, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I don't know, I mean, maybe this has been because I've had a bunch of patients like that.
Yeah,
You've had one. Mate, I've had a few. And yeah, it's just managing that and dealing with that, and it is really scary and really hard the first few times, but like you said, it's about confidence. It's about backing yourself and having gone through that before and going, no, even though, yes, right now your pain may be worse post-adjustment, but I know that I did not do anything bad.
Yeah.
I know that my adjustment was controlled.
Yeah.
I didn't overstretch any type of joint or facet, which would have worsened the inflammation. I know that I applied the correct adjustment at the right time in the right place with the right intent.
Yeah.
And because your pain is worse, it means that now your neurology is working better, and you need to go home and think about it and heal.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, at least for me, that's where I come from, because I know how the pain gate cycle works, and I know what a chiropractic adjustment does, and I'm very confident that I can help you, even though that person right then, like you said, comes in with that perception like, oh, you're like Panadol, right?
Yeah.
You just get an adjustment that goes crack, and that makes me feel better. They're just missing the big idea.
Yeah,
missing the big idea, which is really tough. Yeah. So, what are you doing about it?
I think just... I like the eye contact as well, very intense.
Just leaning like right
just
close.
Leans right in, just whispers. No, but I think each individual patient, you've just got to see where they're at mentally, see what their idea is. And I think a big thing, I talked with another chiro about this recently, just talking about their goals as well. Whether you need to manage them or be like, yeah, sweet, that's awesome, that's a good goal to have.
So for you then, is it kind of about painting a bigger picture?
Yeah.
Like it's like, let's just be honest, a majority of chiropractic patients come in for neck pain, back pain, headaches, right?
100%.
That's what they come in with. So then how do you transition them from that mentality of, I'm afraid you're going to hurt me, because that's what I'm thinking from a patient, and I'm already in pain and I want you to make me feel better. So how do you effectively transition them from that state to a position where they're like, no, I want more out of life. I want to do sport like Josh does. I want to go CrossFit. I want to swim. I want to have more energy to play with my kids. I want to change my lifestyle and my work so that I'm not stressed out as much. Yeah. What's your process of transitioning through that?
Big thing for me is patient trust.
Yeah.
So they have to be... And it's not something that can be manufactured, or, it's not something that you can tick a box and all of a sudden they believe in you. So you have to...
sign this consent, now you believe me, right?
Now everything I say is going to work, right?
Yeah. Oh, man.
So a big thing for me is just being present with the patient, meeting them where they're at. If they are at that pain stage, that's where I'm going to be with them. To be honest, I'm not going
important.
to sell them anything else. I'm going to be like, okay, look, say for example they're coming in with low back pain. I always at the bottom of the thing have like our goals for the visit. So I'll have like, improved function, improved range of motion, better nervous system control, and I'll put decreased pain on that as well. So I'll be like, look, so we've done our visit today. Look, our goals for this week are, obviously you're in a lot of pain right now. I'm not downing that at all. I'm not putting that down. Obviously that's your top priority. So I'm like, look, we want to try to get that pain level down. Give you a few stretches as well that we can do. These adjustments will definitely help because now you're in proper alignment, your nervous system will be functioning better, you're in more chance for your body to actually deal with what's actually going on, So I do mention their whatever symptom and kind of relate with them on that as well, because then they feel heard. And then whatever you say after
I just
that...
want to pause it. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
To actually acknowledge the patient.
Yes.
And say, I'm listening to you, I understand.
Yeah. Because then, once they feel heard, you'll find if a patient comes in and you just start preaching, I don't know, chiropractic...
I don't treat symptoms.
Yeah.
I just adjust the nerve system. Lie on the table.
Yeah, but if you start saying that, then automatically they're going to be like, oh, they're not listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna keep repeating themselves, which you get. If they start doing that, you need to learn to listen a bit better, or even just repeat back what they've said just once, once or twice.
That's awesome, man. That's actually really insightful.
Yeah, so
that's happened to me a couple of times.
Yeah,
when I've just been on my flow, just doing stuff, and
they'll keep
said
repeating
the same thing a few times. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm missing this.
Yeah,
yeah.
So not even if it's
cool.
like a big thing for me is just because they're feeling pain here doesn't mean that's where the pain is coming from. Everyone kind of, even general public is starting to kind of figure that out now as well. So you'd be like, look, I know this is really sore. I know you're really struggling here. We're going to see how this is moving. We're going to see how this is functioning. See if we can't kind of pinpoint the source of where it's actually coming from. And then I think they're like, okay, he has got my best interest in mind, and then they start to trust you. And I think one thing that you can never, that's going to gain you more trust than anything is results. As sad as that is, once they start to see improvements, whether it's in the pain or something else in their life. Like a big thing for me was, this happened early on at college, which was awesome. Activator patient, a time where I didn't really believe in activator too much. I was quite like a manual kind of guy. And I was kind of like, each patient is just like doing activator and you're like, what's going on? And you don't trust it because you haven't had it done on you effectively. This older lady came in and she could, noticed after a couple visits, she could wash her feet in the shower for the first time in, years. Oh. So I didn't even think of that as a benefit of chiropractic. Obviously you get increased range of motion, but I didn't put two and two together, and to see how excited she was about such a small thing that we all take, or younger people take for granted, So that was a big thing to make me look big picture. And I think I had that quite early on in practice at the Chiro College. So that from then on has been like, okay, look, this might be your main area right now, but let's try to see improvement in every area of your life rather than just where you're at right now. If that makes sense.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense. I think that's super important and awesome that you're already doing that. You're kind of acknowledging where they're at, and then as that's gradually improving, you're introducing new goals. Saying, yes, I understand that your pain is still there, but it's better. But have you thought about whatever else, range of motion, doing more things, playing with the kids, whatever happens.
Like I have this one patient that comes in, he's awesome, but he cracks a joke every time because I think I was really stressing it with him in the first couple of visits, just like everything's connected. And then, I'd be checking him and he's like, yeah, everything's connected. And then he just starts saying it, he'd say it like 4 or 5 times a visit, So I I think once they get it, they get it. It's just like anything in life, I guess. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just about meeting them where they're at, slowly expanding their view, I don't think you ever get anywhere in life by trying to overpower someone's opinion with your own opinion. I think you meet their opinion, show that you understand their opinion, and then enhance it. I think that's all you can really do. So that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Changing the world.
One patient at a time.
Love it. So
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy because it's true though. Because you think about it, you think about that interaction that you have with that person that one day, like the guy, everything connected.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be taking that into his day-to-day life as well. And you
Yeah,
kind of have to wonder sometimes how's that going to change him over
Exactly.
time.
Yeah, and you find those people that do figure it out. You know, there's those people that don't. I had a few people and a couple of older guys that came in and, you know, oh, I know exactly what's happened. It's this, you know. It's been done before, did it 10 years ago. One kind of click, and then, you know, I was fine. So I just need you to do that exact same thing. And I was like, okay, look, we're going to see.
Man,
You know,
I've had that too.
You'll hear it so much, and it's such a common thing.
Yeah.
But to be honest, some of those guys, you're never going to change their mind, regardless of, because if you do a good job and you do your best, and let's say their symptoms do go away, then you prove them right a little bit in their own mind.
Yeah.
You know, so if they get, it's so counterproductive. If they get better, it like reinforces that negative thought pattern.
Yeah.
You know, so it's tough to kind of retrain. And a few of those people, it's just like definitely two people in particular that I was seeing at the other practice. I literally gave up on trying to change their mind or explain anything else. I was just I became the chiropractor they wanted me to be. A little bit. Just I gave up on trying to prove something that they didn't want to hear, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, look, I'll just do this.
Yeah.
If that's what you want me to do, I'll do this.
I'll meet you where you're at.
Yeah.
I've
pretty much.
done my best. You know my opinion.
Yeah.
You're not willing to change it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But I think that's really important. Like as chiropractors and health professionals, we can just show people doors.
Yes.
We say this is an option for you. If you want a greater quality of life, this is what that looks like.
Yeah.
But if you're not prepared to do it because you just want to come in when it hurts,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's your decision.
Yeah.
As long as you know what options you've got.
Yeah.
I think that's all you can do, right?
Yeah, well, we're not a health profession that is like, it's not so much doctor's orders with us. It's
Hell
definitely
no.
not.
Hell no.
It's very much like it's way more personal interaction, and it's way more like, yeah, like we said earlier, meeting them where they're at and being like, okay, this is a few steps that we need to take. I'm not going to make you do them, but if you do them, you're going to see better results, and it's going to be better for you. End of the day, I'm only with you for 20 minutes or whatever, you know, so the rest is up to you, you know, so I'm only with you for a very short time, and then I'll see you when you're in next, but in the meantime, you need to take your health into your own hands, kind of thing. So, yeah.
And I think you made a really nice comment before as well, and especially with working from home, it feels a bit more like a family, right?
Yes.
And I think when you get that kind of feel with the patients, it really changes the relationship.
Yeah.
And they're a lot more likely to, you know, listen or maybe change because they know that this is coming from a loving place.
Yeah.
It's because I love you and I want to help you.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
they go, okay, I get it. I'm not ready to do that yet, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's really, really important transition, rather than being the stethoscope saying 90% of patients with your presentation have these clinical findings, and you must go down this clinical pathway.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to die or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I just definitely don't resonate with that style of care at all.
No.
It's about the people, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, love the people.
Love the people.
It's so important.
Yeah, but that's what we get into it for.
Yeah.
I love how, like, passionate chiros are. And just, like...
Have you ever met a non-passionate chiropractor?
No, I don't think I
Neither
have.
have I.
I don't think I have. Like, I think there was people that weren't passionate through college, but they didn't usually get through. If they weren't passionate about it, then they did something else.
Yeah.
And that's fine as well. You got to find your niche, but
yeah, exactly.
yeah. So I think chiro college maybe weeds out those people that are not passionate about it.
Definitely. And I think they're actually doing a good job, because I was chatting with a few of them, a few of the people organising that in Lyceum, and looking at how to create an environment where you don't attract those kind of people. Because now they're actually growing to capacity, they can actually pick and choose a bit more.
Yeah.
And they're working on attracting great people.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really, really important next step.
Yeah.
Because it has definitely been, like, at least with our year, getting through, it was you weed out the weak. If you're not passionate about it, if you are not like, this is what I'm doing with my life and I'm so excited to be a chiropractor, you wouldn't get through. It was too hard.
Actually, though.
It was too hard. There was too much work, too many, like you said, late nights and sacrifices where you, I mean, at least this is definitely for me, I think you've kind of said it as well, is you had to give up a bit of yourself.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
You had to go, right, I have to, sacrifice parts of my personality or the things that I enjoy, because I'm dedicating my entire life to surviving through chiro college and graduating because I want to be a chiropractor. Yeah.
And also, I didn't realise how much chiro college actually affected me stress-wise.
Oh,
and
man.
just
Me
mentally.
It took me months to recover post-graduation.
No, but actually though...
Ridiculous.
I would have dreams about it for months.
Yeah.
I think I actually had dreams about it for like 3-4 months.
Yeah.
About boards. I mean, I know they don't do exits anymore, but still, like, I never... Because I've always been a person that's like, I don't really get stressed, and I believed that, until I...
You got out of the stressful
situation. Until I graduated,
yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like a shell of myself for the last, like, year, probably, maybe year and a half, so it's amazing to kind of be back, in a sense, to not have to be, you're not performing to meet a grade, you're not performing to meet criteria, you're performing because it's what you love to do.
Yeah.
And that's a completely different mindset to ticking boxes.
And you have so much more energy for it, right?
Yeah. Oh, like that's a massive thing.
Those 6:30, 7 a.m. starts, not an issue anymore.
Not an issue.
It's like, so there we go.
Yeah. But no, seriously, that's a massive thing. I'm happy you brought that up, because a big thing for me was like, I know people that know me know that, like, I'm not the most organised person in the world. Like, I don't do lists. I don't know. I kind of like, I just roll with whatever, But for me to spend time, my own time, my free time, I'm on a Saturday night, like working on my, like website design, or like, just letterheads or something like that I would never ever have done at college unless it was a week before the assignment's due. Just would never do it, and I'm spending all this time, and I'm so stoked about it as well, because it's mine. Yeah. Because it's me. It's like I'm putting myself on paper. I'm putting myself on the Facebook page. I'm putting myself on the website. It's like I'm actually just designing the website at the moment, so that's why I keep bringing it up. But it's like
it'll be in the show notes. Go check it out.
Oh, it won't be up yet. But I've been doing it for like 3 days, and it's been awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's just that stuff that it doesn't seem like work, because it's you. You're just putting.
Well, you're
yourself
also being
on
creative.
Exactly.
And it's so much more exciting to be like, I'm being creative, I'm doing this fun thing which I get to see the results of straight away, and also all of this energy and effort that I'm putting into this thing that I'm creating, like for example for you it's your own practice, you actually get the benefits out of that.
Yes. Yeah, correct.
Anything that you put into this, the love and the energy that you put into your practice will grow it and turn it into something great. Whereas at chiro college it didn't feel the same, because it felt like graduation was always looming.
Yes.
I've got to hit my numbers because that's what I have to do, and eventually I'm leaving.
Got to pop that balloon.
Yeah. Pop that balloon. I think it's just a very different mentality. Mentality. I think, for me it was part of that stress at the beginning, because that was really hard to shake. Because it was still about numbers. I have to achieve things, and because I was really hard on myself, I set very, very unrealistic goals. Yeah. And then never met them, so I was just kind of constantly in this kind of downward spiral.
Just a state of disappointment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then still stressed out.
How are you finding your care at the moment?
Good.
Enjoying it?
Yeah, so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having so much more fun.
Yeah.
So much better. Yeah. And I'm joking again and smiling and laughing.
Oh yeah, no,
always. Whereas at the beginning, it definitely wasn't that. It was very like official,
quite sterile.
Just more.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, that was part of my lack of confidence as well. So I kind of.
You have to put on a confident front, so you're putting on more an authoritative figure rather than.
Who I actually am. It's like, this is me.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, that's okay. I can refer you to the other guy.
Yeah.
Or, refer you to another practice that's going to suit you better. And at the beginning, I was so desperate for numbers, I would never do that. So you try and hold on to people.
Yeah.
And I learned that lesson very, very quickly, that that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
They don't get great quality care.
Yeah.
You feel like crap every time you check and adjust.
Every single time. I had that a couple of those
refer out. It's such a good feeling.
Oh, but actually though, I had a few of those weeks. I think it was a year above you bars. We had this blue shift kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's just a few patients on each shift that their intern didn't want to see. It's just like they're that one patient that's just like gonna drain you. Hey, does anyone want to cover a patient? And it's different in the real world because you attract people that are like-minded, because somebody that, doesn't get on with you is not going to come see you, because, you can't even sell them
it is you.
yourself, so why would they come see you for chiropractic, You're probably not going to be able to sell them chiropractic if you can sell them yourself, so... I don't know, it's just about attracting like-minded people. And that's the thing, that's I think why we have more fun, because we're around like-minded people. We're in practice with people that are like us, with people that have the same goals, same kind of passions, same community again, and it just works.
It's cool.
Whereas it doesn't really work if you're, dictator role.
Yeah. And I think you'll definitely find that your practice will struggle. I think it's so important to be authentic.
Yeah.
So speaking about marketing and attracting the right kind of people, obviously website's part of that. But
Yeah.
what else are you doing in terms of doing your own thing? Because you're starting your own practice, you have to market.
Yes.
So what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, obviously starting from scratch. I started from scratch at both locations. However, one location had been there for 60 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of different. So starting JMC, obviously nobody knows about you. Nobody knows you're there. Nobody probably cares.
Yeah.
So it's just about getting out. So first off for me was just Facebook. Was massive just to start off with. Got so many people reaching out to me as well, past graduates and people that just graduated with us, and just heaps of people reaching out to me being like, oh hey, it's awesome that you started your own thing, like what did you do to kind of get going? I'm kind of thinking about doing it myself, but I'm not really sure, I'm a bit nervous, so that's been really cool. So Facebook was the first thing, for sure. The one thing I found funny, Dr. Knock on previous podcast mentioned buying a guillotine was like his best investment or something, and I still haven't got one, but I regret it so much. I spend hours cutting these little like leaflet things, and I've been doing some like mail drops just around local neighborhood and stuff like that, which to be honest hasn't gotten me in anyone yet, but it's something that I'll keep doing, because I think in marketing someone needs to see you. I think research shows like 3 or 4 times before they actually acknowledge you're even there.
100%.
So to be discouraged early on and just give up on something that you've tried once is not really a fair assessment on what you've actually done. Also screenings, just the general gym health talks and spinal checks. And like I said earlier, just getting in the community. So more like, I don't know, just driving around, spinning yarns with people, or walking into gyms and meeting people where they're at. Joining a gym as well. Obviously, you mentioned CrossFit earlier. Just started back at a CrossFit gym, and just like actually being a part of the community you're in. Playing basketball in the community you're in. CrossFit. If you're into, I don't know, church has been a big one for me as well, because I grew up with that. So you've got all these different communities that come together and can help you out. So it's more about just kind of just inserting yourself in everywhere. But the main things for me, definitely Facebook so far. Working on getting the website up and running. Just emailing different businesses around the place, and then just doing those letter drop things.
Nice. So just putting yourself out there.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's cool. I think it's such a big part of it is like you just said, putting yourself out there, and then also kind of asking for support or help from people. So I'm sure like at the church group or your basketball group or the things where they know you on a personal basis as well as professional.
Yep.
And say, hey, look, I've grown my practice.
Yep.
Do you know anyone that I can help out? Because you know that I'm a good guy. You know I'll take the absolute best care of them.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you know?
Yeah. No, that's a big thing as well. Not necessarily asking for favours or anything like that.
No.
But definitely being the fact that they know you already.
Yeah.
Use those relationships. Not use them, but cherish them.
Yeah.
You know, because that's where you're going to be getting your referrals from.
Yeah.
You know, people don't refer you to someone that they don't trust or that they don't know. You know, so obviously growing up on the shore, I have a lot of connections on the North Shore. So when people saw that I'd started chiropractic up on the shore, they're like, "Oh, awesome! You're like 2 minutes drive from my house now. When can I come see you?"
Yeah.
You know, and it's different to getting people to cross the bridge and try and come see you. You know, I couldn't get. I think I had maybe 2-3 people from the shore come over to where I was practicing, and I just couldn't get. I couldn't get people in there, you know, and I don't think it was anything against the practice, or I think it was more just who I was when I was there. I don't think I was, like you said earlier, I don't think I was maybe as myself as I could have been, you know, so maybe I was more trying to put on a show rather than, you know,
I think that is really hard to avoid. I mean, I definitely did that. Everyone that I've talked to so far has done the same. Because you graduate and you're not really sure who you are as a chiropractor.
Yes.
I mean, well, hell, I'm still not.
Yeah.
But you gain more confidence because you gain more experience, and it's just about being in practice.
Yeah.
You have to be there, even though there's definite ups and downs. You're going to have a patient that's going to rock you and make you think, is this the right thing? Should I be getting out? Because that was awful, and I never want to go through that again.
Yeah.
And then the next patient comes through, just
and it's
lights up your world,
yeah.
and you go, this is what I was born on the planet to do, guys. I'm
Yeah.
happy. Let's do it.
Yeah. But no, I think Jerome mentioned something on the previous podcast as well that I thought was quite good. It pretty much matched up with me perfectly. He was talking about, associate positions in general. I think we should go into that also a little bit. I don't think the way that associate as a chiropractor is set up well at all. Nothing against the practice that I was at or anything like that. I think I had a great contract in terms of what's normal in a chiropractic world, but I know to go in, and obviously you had to start from scratch as well, so I didn't know that. So it's so tough to start from zero when, you know, you're comparing it to your clinic at NZCC when you had to get, you know, a certain number of new patients, which is quite a lot, you know, for a student to get in. It's pretty tough to get people to come into a student facility, you know, so you've done well getting people in there, but also most of your numbers probably came from transfers, right? So I know my numbers came from transfers, and so they're all referrals, but when you start from zero, where are the transfers going to come from? You know, so you're not going to get any referral people. You're going to have like 2-3 people for the first couple of weeks, and it's just like, you know, you have to start from scratch. And to build, like obviously you're doing great now, but starting from scratch and building someone else's thing, and also, like I understand you give the whatever percentage you're on, you give that, and that kind of covers your whatever your rent would be, or, you know, power, electricity, just things of running in practice, which is definitely expensive for sure. But then when I was comparing that versus my own thing, and all of a sudden it was very clear which one I needed to be putting my time into, you know? And yeah, so it was like I needed to just grow JMC, because obviously it's looking like I'm going to be able to help more people through this and feel more effective and feel more fulfilled. But yeah, I didn't feel that with the associate role, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So how would you change that?
I don't know, to be honest. I just have questions.
Let's figure this out.
I don't have answers.
That's fine. That's a great place to start.
Yeah, no, but...
What's the questions?
What's the questions? No, it would be awesome. And obviously, I've only been an associate. I've never had an associate under me. So, I'm coming from a very skewed view site.
But you can reflect your experience.
Yes.
Which also, you've talked to a bunch of other chiros who have recently graduated as well. It's not an unusual experience.
No, it's not. But it would be... I know, it would be great if that percentage was more.
Yeah.
Or, like... I know, I think for a chiropractor to take on an associate, they should be at a place where they're too busy or they're overstretched. So they're not giving the best care for their patients, you know? So they need an associate to come and take that load off a little bit. I feel like that's where you should get an associate. I don't believe it's fair on the associate to... I know you knew what you're getting into when you signed the contract, I assume. I knew what I was getting into. I thought I knew what I was getting into.
Well, I think that's a bit of a... I thought I knew.
Yeah.
And then I was there for the first day and going like, I've been here for 10 hours and I've seen no people.
Yes,
This is the worst.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that first day lasted, 3 weeks? You know?
Yeah.
So, like,
exactly.
Because you see one person in the morning and then you have your next patient at 6:30.
Yeah.
And you're like, what am
Right.
I going to do?
I'm just going to sit here beating myself up for the next 6 hours.
So
Great.
I feel like that's a very big ask for the associate to have to build, because they're also not building their own thing, they're building somebody else's brand, and I mean it's great to partner with that, and it's great to, I know potentially you want to look at buying in later on. I mean that's how I initially thought about the contract where I was at. I wanted to, you know, I'm not the kind of guy that's kind of does something for a little bit and then, you know, moves on. I was more looking like 5-10 year plan already. Premature, very, very premature, and you know that's probably my own naivety.
But you can't blame your own naivety because you've never done it before.
Yeah, exactly.
You never knew, and at college you're not exposed to the reality of what's about to happen to you.
Yes.
You have an idea. You've talked to some graduates before you, but
until it's real for you,
you're
just going off other words of people, and it's tough to actually.
Different.
Yeah. So I was talking to another graduate recently, and they said they went and they were talking with some students again, and you know the students are always like, "Oh, how's it like in the real world?" You know, like super excited. It's like it's freaking hard, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So many times this year I've been like, man, I'll go back and do fourth year again. That was so easy. Like in comparison.
I don't know if I'd call it
Come
easy
on.
because I think your capacity changes.
That's exactly. I was good at that because I've done it.
Yes.
Whereas now I'm doing this new thing, and because it's new, I'm not as good at it.
Yes. Yeah. No, for sure. Because I mean, I didn't have a great time at Chiro College. I didn't love it. You know, I took longer than I needed to, and you know, a lot of that was maybe on me. A lot of that was, you know, just the way whatever happened. But you know, so then transferring that into the real world, where you know that's the hardest thing you've done in your life. You know, you get through exits, and you're like, holy frick, how did I just get through that? You know, like there was I don't know if you had it, but there was always that little thing in the back of my mind, like, you're never actually going to get through this.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is, sure you want to do it, but it's too hard for you, or, you know, like, I don't know. There was always that little voice in the back of my mind telling me that, you know, I was not going to be able to cut it, kind of thing.
Sure.
So, anyway, got through, and just the relief, to be finished. The hardest thing you've ever done in your life.
When you got that email with that P?
Oh. I emailed back.
Did you?
I was like, so P means pass, right? And she's like, it definitely does. Well done. And I was like, yes! Yeah, just, so good. But then you have a new hardest thing in your life, you know. I think it's all about just seasons. And each new obstacle is going to be challenging. You just got to kind of tackle it head on and just do your best in each situation. That's pretty much all we can do.
So to jump back to that associate question, because I think that's really important, because that's definitely something I've been thinking about a lot as well, because my whole idea about the practice that I've joined, and I've definitely talked to the primary about it as well, is, I mean, for me it's definitely a stepping stone. I never had the vision of I'm going to buy in and be part of this practice, but it worked out very well. My girlfriend's got a good job here, and obviously, you know, this is where we want to be for the next little while. But I definitely feel like I have callings in other places of the world, slash New Zealand. So what I really wanted to do is create an environment where once I left, a new grad could walk into a badass position. Awesome. Where they had all the positions, like everything was kind of set up for them, and they could just take it and run with it and grow. So
that's awesome.
They had the marketing stuff there, they had a patient base there. It was comfortable having more than one chiro in one office, because the practice that I'm in had never had that before.
Yeah, and now they're used to it.
And now they're used to it. So I mean, my vision is hope is that, you know, eventually, I don't know when, but eventually when I do decide to graduate, because that's my season, eventually I will graduate from my current practice and move on to the next thing in life, that someone can walk in and really be able to grow and prosper, and not have that struggle and that fear and that doubt that I had to suffer through.
That's awesome, but because you're making that's incredible, but nobody that I know of has walked into something like that, which I think is
the only one that I've heard of is Michael Stocko at Mount Eden Chiro.
Oh, okay.
With Simon Kelly, but he's been doing it for years. There was Jade, who was in there before him, who already had a practice base. So once she went over to Oz to start her own thing, Michael could walk into a pre-existing patient base that was already there, and Simon's had associates for yonks, so he had the systems and processes in place for the practice to grow and handle that. Which is awesome. I think it should be happening more often.
Yeah, it definitely should. One thing, just to play devil's advocate here, is I was over in Oz for a break in the middle of the year. To be honest, best thing I ever did, take a break in just the middle of my first year, just because it really gave me like a bird's eye view of what I was actually doing, because I think when you're struggling in something, it's very hard to see a way out or see where you're actually going. You know, you kind of can't see the wood from the trees, kind of thing. So me having a little break, I got to kind of look back and be like, this is what I'm doing here, this is what I'm doing, and I was able to compare and make a decision for my future rather than just wading through mud, you know. But while I was over there, I was talking to another NZCC grad who, you know, was at a very, very busy practice right from the get-go, but was really, 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 really drained. And so that can also be another thing, because you build up this great practice, it's very, very tailor-made to you and who you are as a person. And so along with that building process, your capacity grew as well. So going from NZCC to then stepping into a fully fledged, you know, let's say booming practice, because I believe you'll be able to make that, no trouble. So then the new grad stepping into that, their capacity is still very, very limited. So that might be overwhelming for them, you know. So it's a tough balance to play, and I definitely don't think there's any right answers. Which I think is why so many people struggle coming out of college, because it's really, you know, balls in the air about, you know, where you're going to land and how you're actually going to do. Because even if you've got this massive patient base, you might not have the capacity to provide good care for all of them, you know. And even if, you know, you go to a practice that is really struggling, then you're going to be struggling financially for a little bit, you know. It's just the way it is. And so there's two very polar opposites. I'm not saying one's right, one's wrong,
but you're being realistic about what's out there in the world.
Yes,
because if you
just need to know the options at least.
If you look at practices, this is my personal opinion, you're entitled to it, it's practices are either growing or they're shrinking.
Yes.
And where do you fit into that practice? Are you entering a practice that's shrinking? Because if you are, that's way harder. If you're entering a practice that's growing, you can just multiply that and take off.
Yeah, because you've got that platform to
exactly. And the different chiros that I've talked to, that's definitely been the way. And it can make it really, really difficult. At least for me. I mean, let me know what you think about it, because I haven't really shared this with many people. But what I think needs to happen is there needs to be some kind of postgraduate associate thing that you go into. So you have the option of, do I start my own thing with guidance? So you have certain people that are approved, whatever, coaches or mentors or whatever, that when you start your own thing, you regularly interact with them. That's part of your
have like a
process.
mentor kind of thing.
Exactly. Or the other option is you can go into a practice that's set up, it's pre-approved, it's there, it has the mentor with it, and it has a patient base there that's definitely manageable.
Yes.
That you can work on and then grow.
Yeah.
That's not going to be outrageously bigger than what you were used to and comfortable in at college, but then you also learn from the primary and what it actually takes to run a busy practice. And I think for me, that's what I really learned a lot about this year. Is what is it like to be in a successful busy practice, seeing over 200 a week on average?
Yeah.
And that's, for me, has been a massive learning experience to see. It's not about the chiropractor's capacity, because he's doing what he does and he does it really, really well. It's actually about all the other stuff that happens around it.
Yeah.
So when the patient arrives, what's the interaction that they have? Do they feel at home, straight away, and comfortable? Or do they feel like a sausage factory where they're just being churned out at the end of the room? And that whole spectrum of how does a practice actually run, I had no experience with previously, because I've never been exposed to chiropractic before. I started at college.
Wow.
And the college is very different as well.
Yeah.
So it's I think having either of those options post-graduation, actually having something set up for people as they graduate, this is what you walk into. And you're not kind of, at least what I kind of felt like, and I picked a good practice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And had good options for myself. It's really hard for people to land on their feet. And if there was actually something that they could walk out into that was already set up for them, that was a year or two of just extra support and guidance post-graduation, I think that would make a really big difference to the profession.
Yeah, no, I definitely would. And I think, my story is slightly skewed as well, because I definitely didn't do very well at the associate position I was at.
Well, define really well, because having talked to people, it sounds like you did pretty much the same as everybody else. So I'm like,
no, I don't know.
Define well, you know what I mean?
Okay, so not that I wanted to quantify it by numbers, but
don't. We already talked about it. Like on the last podcast I was talking about, which you haven't listened to yet, but I know you will.
I definitely will.
Because you're an awesome person.
I've listened to half.
Yeah, it's a solid effort. It's 2 hours. It's a big journey. But what the guy from Amplified was talking about is Jason Deutsch. He was talking about how do you measure your success. Well, currently it's done by PVs, like how many people did you see this week, and how many new patients have you seen, and how's the practice growing. So it's all numbers. How many people are coming in to see me?
Yeah.
As opposed to the opposite of saying, well, how many people did I serve or interact with?
Yeah.
And I think that's a much better way of measuring your effect, because like we've talked about already, this is community. This is about supporting other people. Chiropractic is greater than you're coming to receive a quote-unquote treatment from me. You're actually coming to receive care. So how much care did I provide for somebody? And looking at your numbers, I mean, for me, I'm a metrics guy. I love measuring stuff. So I'm attracted to
it definitely helps. I'm not saying I don't look at numbers at all, because you do need to know where you're coming from.
Are you growing or shrinking?
Exactly.
But then you can use that and build on it.
Yeah, for sure. It's just it. I mean, I learnt so much. I mean, even the stuff that I learnt from the principal is, influenced influenced quite heavily on how I practice.
Cool.
But also there was stuff that they did that I really didn't like, and that I think happens in every practice, because we're not all exactly the same. We're not cookie cutters, So I think it's cool, because it made me realize who I wanted to be as a chiropractor. And I've definitely not made it yet, but I'm on the way.
I'll talk to you in 10 years' time and you'll be saying the same thing.
but actually though.
But that's the beauty of it. There is no end point. That's part of what really attracted me to chiropractic in the first place, is you will constantly grow and get better. And how cool is that?
That's a big thing for me as well. As obviously I've got quite a big sporting background, so sport, regardless of how good you are or how much training you do, on game day when it's time to perform, you're going to either have a good game or you're going to have a bad game, or you're going to start the game awesome and you're going to get to halftime, you're going to come out and you're going to play like hot garbage for the rest of the game. It's so up and down regardless of the sterile training that you put in. and chiropractic's very similar in a lot of ways with your adjusting and your checking as well. Like it is really quite dependent on how you're feeling, the mood in the room, the mood of the patient. You're adjusting, one day you could be really, really struggling with side postures, and then all of a sudden you just start hitting them, and then it's fine, and then you start struggling with cervicals.
Man, the amount of times, yeah.
I like that because it's always gives you something to work towards or practice on or work on and get better at. We all want to be awesome, obviously. Nobody wants to be. I just want to be, just an average chiro. Like, I'm happy just calling myself a chiropractor, nobody wants that. They want to be the best they can be, and I think that's one of the things that I love most about chiropractic, that it does give us that opportunity to excel if we're willing to put in the work, kind of thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So if people at home are wanting to reach out to you, get in contact with you, what's the best way to do it?
Probably just Facebook.
Yeah.
Or if you just get my mobile number, is on my Facebook page as well.
Yes.
Took me a text, I'll give you a call, or if you want to just Facebook message me, that's fine. JMC Chiropractic on Facebook as well. Website will be available soon.
That's right. Yeah.
Still designing it.
Put a date out there, and you have to follow through, right?
God damn it!
Yeah,
Just
love it.
struggling away. But no, I'm happy to spin a yarn with anyone.
Yeah.
I think a big thing for me is just realizing that look, nobody's made it. I don't care what you quantify your practice by. You haven't made it yet. You're not probably going to make it for the next 10 to 20 years anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm more than happy being like, look, this is what I'm doing. This is what's worked for me. If you want to try it, go for it. Because obviously my circumstances are a little bit different. I was able to practice out at home. So that cuts down a lot of overheads.
You've got to control the overheads. It's such a big part.
Without that, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. So unless I took out a massive loan, which I don't want to do.
Sure.
So
you can do that. Like if you've listened to Liam Ashley's practice, like Liam Ashley's
exactly.
episode, they have done it.
Huge step, but something that
it's some pressure on you, man.
Exactly, but something that they felt ready for.
Yeah, well, and they also had each other to support. So Ashley's in practice and Liam's working to pay off the loan.
Yes.
So they can do that.
Yep.
You're not in that situation.
I don't have Liam or Ashley to support.
Yeah.
Come on, Liam.
Damn it. Yeah, why So I think that is really, really important that you look at what your individual strengths are.
Yes. You have to function out of what you're good at or what you're comfortable doing. Don't try to do something that somebody else has done just because it's worked for them. It probably won't work for you.
Nope.
So just, talk to as many people as you can, pick out what you like, throw away what you don't, and that's about it, really. Just do what you're happy doing.
That is awesome. And you're obviously happy doing what you're doing.
Oh, mate, never been happier. So stoked on it.
That is so awesome. Good. Josh, thank you so much for coming on and sharing today. It was an amazing story.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome.
Thank you for all the support you've been showing this platform. If you have any ideas for future episodes or you'd like to be involved, send me a message through the website or your preferred social media. For the resources mentioned in this episode, please check out the show notes or thechirosation.com. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and leave a comment on Facebook. Now go out there and start a chirosation today.